Alright guys, so today we're going to be talking about one-step inequalities, which is a step further than what we did yesterday with one-step equations. Let's get into it. An inequality basically, guys, is two expressions that are not the same. Yesterday we dealt with equations which had the equal sign. In this example, they're not the same. Therefore, you're going to have either a less than or greater than or a less than or equal to or greater than equal to sign. Okay? We already know what that is. That means -3 is less than 0, right? We don't really have to spend too much time on this. We have the greater than sign. 4 is greater than 1. These are basic things. We don't really have to spend a lot of time with this at this level. Less than or equal to, that means that it could be this number. However, it can be numbers that is also smaller than it. We don't have to spend time right here. I'm going past this. We don't have to spend a lot of time right here at all. Skipping past all of this. We know these things. Alright, so similar to when we solve equations, when you solve inequalities, we're trying to find values that are more than 1 that make this statement true. This means we're still going to be using the inverse operation. So I don't want to confuse anybody. Just like we used inverse operations on yesterday to solve equations, we're going to be using the same thing for inequalities. Alright, we're going to use inverse operations once again to isolate the variable. Alright. So this is saying inverse operations is basically undo. The opposite or the inverse of multiplication is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. We talked about all of this on yesterday, guys, so I don't want to spend a lot of time here. We did that already. Let's get to some new information. The inverse of addition is subtraction. Once again, we talked about that yesterday. I'm skipping through this. Solving inequalities is the same process as solving one-step equations. Listen. It's the exact same process that we did yesterday. So if you understood yesterday's lesson, then today's lesson is the same thing. The only difference, here's the big difference, and you need to add this to the notes. If you're going to flip the inequality sign when you multiply or divide by a negative. That is critical and that is key for you to understand. You flip the inequality sign when you multiply or divide by a negative. Other than that, it's the same thing that we did yesterday. So, let's not get into this. I'm going to show you guys an example once we get to it. So, example 1. So, we have x minus 5. Remember, guys, it's the same thing that we did. All right? So we need to isolate the variable. How are we going to do it? We're going to do the inverse of minus 5, which is going to be plus 5. We're adding plus 5 to both sides. It gives you a 0 pair right here. And you're left with -1 plus 5, which is 4. Therefore, your answer being x is greater than 4. So any number that's greater than 4 will satisfy this inequality. You can check this solution by plugging in a number that's greater than 4 and seeing if it will give you a number that's greater than -1. Here's another example. Same thing. That is a positive 3. How you going to get rid of that positive 3? You're going to take 3 away or add a -3. So you end up with, that's going to be a 0 pair right here, right? And you're left with 9 minus 3, or 9 plus a -3, and that's going to give you a positive 6. So we know that A is less than or equal to a positive 6. Notice that when you fill this in on the bubble line, a number line, notice that this is filled in. Okay, these are basic skills. Let's keep it moving. All right, I'm not checking. We're going to keep pushing. All right, so your turn. All right, so I'm going to go to my my whiteboard, and I want you guys to try this example. All right, pause the video and try this example. All right, I hope you guys had a chance to work that problem out. I'm going to draw this line here. Oh, this is not, I'm sorry, that is not an equal to sign. I do not know why I put an equal. This should be greater than or equal to. Okay, really simple. Same thing that we did yesterday. I'll still draw this line down here. How are we going to get, oh my goodness. Still going to draw this line down here. How are we going to get rid of this positive 4 It's simple. You're going to add to that a -4 plus a -4 plus a -4 on this side. Remember, what you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. This gives you a 0 pair. You bring down the x, and you're left with x is greater than or equal to, that is 11, positive 11. And there's your answer. Here's your next example that I want you to work for you. I want you guys to pause the video and work this. That's x minus 3, and that's not equal to. I don't know why we're equal to on these. That's x minus 3, and that should be is less than 21. Okay? Pause video, work that out. Alright? I hope you paused it. So, how do we get rid of this -3? We're going to add 3 to it. But remember, you're going to add 3 to both sides. My 0 pair. Bring down my x. And you're left with x is less than 24. So any number would make this correct as long as that number is less than 24. All right? All right, so back here, let's go through a few, the next step that we need to go through. Example 3. So remember, the object is we need to isolate the variable, right? And this is saying 1/5 times x, right? Remember, we want to take the reciprocal of that 1/5, and the reciprocal of 1/5 is 5/1. So we multiply both sides of the inequality sign by 5/1. Okay, that gives you 5/5x. So x is basically by itself now, and you're left with equals a -5. Okay, real simple stuff. You guys, this is basically what we did yesterday. Any solution where x is greater than or equal to 5 will satisfy this -5 will satisfy this inequality. All right. As far as checking, I'm not going to necessarily go into the checking. Now, this is the example where I talked about where if you are multiplying or dividing by a negative, you need to flip the inequality sign. All right. So what does this look like? Well, we're multiplying by 1/3, right? So, by 3. So essentially, what's going to happen is you're going to multiply both sides by a -1/3, right? The inequality signs drop out. You're left with with 3/3, because the negative sign went over here, right? So a negative times a negative gives you a positive. This is going to cross out and give you 1, and over here you're left with a -6/3, which is the same thing as 6 divided by 3. 6 divided by 3 gives you a -2. But here's the thing. Please pay attention to this part. This is where the inequality symbol flipped. Y'all see that? Make sure you pay attention to that. Anytime you multiply or divide by a negative, you got to flip that inequality sign. So our answer is x is less than or equal to -2. All right, so what I want you guys to do is I want you to jot this down, because we're going to be able to work this one. Take your time, hurry up. All right, I hope you got it. And then here's the next one. So I want you to take a moment, pause the video, and begin working on this problem. Okay? All right, here we go. So now, I hope that you had a chance to work this out. I'm going to go ahead and draw my line right here. So what are you going to do here? We need to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal is going to be a -2 over, didn't mean to move that. It's going to be a -2 over 1. And then I'm going to also multiply this side by a -2 over 1. Okay, so essentially on this side, and I'm going to erase this and make this a little bit, change this up just a little bit. You're basically looking at 3/1 times 2/1. Right here, these two cancel out, and that gives you a 0 pair. X drops down. We're multiplying by a negative, so the sign now flips and goes this way. X is here, and 3 over 1 times 3 times 2 is a negative 6, right? 1 times 1 is 1. So you're basically looking at a negative 6 divided by 1, which is basically negative 6. So the answer to this inequality is x is greater than negative 6. Any solution that's bigger than negative 6 will satisfy this inequality. Let's move on to the next one. I want you to pause the video and then work on this one. All right, I hope you pause the video. This is a simple problem. So we're multiplying by a 1/7. If you haven't worked it out, pause it, work it out, because I'm moving. All right, so you're basically looking at 1/7 times 7 over 1x. This crosses out and x is left by itself. Over here, you have 21 over 1 times 1 over 7, which gives you 21 over 7, or 21 divided by 7, therefore giving you an answer of x is, and I keep putting equal, x is greater than 3. Guys, this is simple stuff. Same thing that we did yesterday. The only difference that we're adding is that if you're dividing by a negative, you need to flip the sign, all right? So listen, man, practice this, go through this, make sure you understand it. If you guys got questions, I am available to answer those questions. You can leave it in the comments. I'll go back and check the comments momentarily for the previous videos. If you're my student in my summer school class, go ahead and you can hit me up in the Google Classroom, and we can meet on the Google Meets. All right, man, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.